Welcome to The Authentic Spiritual Journey, a weekly podcast featuring real and practical spiritual conversations from fresh perspectives here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. Today, episode 280, we welcome Grammy-nominated and Emmy award-winning singer and songwriter, Faith Rivera. And now your host, Reverend Cynthia Alice Anderson.
Hello and welcome to the Authentic Spiritual Journey. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm also lovingly known as RCA. I am the host. I'm here today in 818 Studios with my producer.
Good morning, everybody. This is Dave Croft, and thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Authentic Spiritual Journey. As always, we love being some of the first people to welcome you to a brand new week as we are wrapping up October, about to turn into November. The holidays are among us. We've had our fill of pumpkin spice everything, and now it's time to do Christmas everything, right?
I know, right? And we're really fortunate, too, because we have a special guest with us today who we'll introduce in a moment. But interestingly, I was traveling recently, and while I had a layover, it was a self-imposed layover. What happened was I missed my flight. But I was talking with a gentleman, which has never happened, by the way, my whole life. This was a new experience. But it gave me an opportunity to talk to a guy next to me about how he starts his morning. It was fascinating. And he subscribed to the podcast before we finished talking. So it's really awesome. It's really awesome. And what I love about our guest today is she's like I am. She makes friends wherever she goes and loves to lift people up through her words, through her singing. And so we have the fabulous Faith Rivera here. Woo!
Aloha, everybody. I'm so happy to be here on your show. It's been a while, so I'm excited for this high-vibing chat with all three of us.
Absolutely.
I like
Very
that.
good.
I like the high-vibing chat. Well, you've had so much going on, Faith. So, I first met you as a musician, and you are a consummate musician. You're a writer, you're a singer, and you're a supporter of many other musicians, as well as doing movement. But you're also an actress. I think a lot of people probably don't realize, right? I mean, you have an agent and you, right? You still are, have your foot in that world too. So there's a lot you're doing right now, isn't there?
Yes. And I don't know if we blame or thank the kids. And I guess I will step into actor. I don't know that I'm an actor per se, but because my daughter, who's 8 years old, one day out of the blue just says, "Mommy, I want to do modeling." I'm like, huh? So long story short, we came with this amazing, woman, Swan Elliott, and Focus Hawaii, based on the Big Island, all about family, all about empowering people, all about, the expanded idea of what beauty is. And long story short, in my effort to help my daughter, I'm technically the creative director, which to me, I'm just helping my daughter here, in Honolulu.
Right. But I'm in mom mode.
Yeah. But I have auditioned. I was invited to audition to be Moana's mom, Sina, on the new, motion film that they're going to be creating. So I don't know that I'm ready to say, yes, I'm an actress. I'm going to practice calling you RCA. But
that's okay.
Yeah, I know, Reverend Cynthia. But I'm definitely that model world. We're going to a fashion show, by the way, my daughter's first fashion show on the Big Island this weekend, and I'm going to be the MC. So yes, I'm being, spirit calls you wherever it calls you.
That's absolutely true. Yes, I didn't mention mom, right? And that's your most important job, right?
It is.
One time I was asked, I was filling something out. It was actually, I think I was applying to do a TED Talk or something. And it said, what's your most memorable or what's your most important achievement? Wow. I said, becoming a mom. That's everything else, pales in comparison to me. And I know you're an incredible mom and to your kiddos. Yeah. Well, you're engaged, you're involved, you're supporting their dreams, goals, and desires. And, so often on the show, we are helping people grow, prosper, and evolve. And we know to do that. I often say, in relationships, people need time, attention, and energy. If something doesn't have time, attention, and energy, it won't grow.
Yes.
So whatever you're creating, whether it's your career, your music, your relationship with your spouse or kids, those things are, necessary ingredients for health in any relationship.
Oh, it is. And you know why I really value that we've reconnected is when I look at you, this is kind of where I should myself is I look at someone like you and I feel like, you're able to support your kids, sometimes the congregation and your clients. And I still see you, moving full force in your own dreams. And I do too. But let me tell you, like in my mind and in my, when you look at the pie of where my effort is being put, it's so easy to put my projects last. I mean, and I'm more accountable to my group projects too that I'm writing for the Sync World TV. So, that's a whole other talk. I'm just going to have to maybe hire you to coach me through that. But it's a thing, right? When you're a mom or a parent or caring
It is
for someone. And I know that's our greatest gift. I know that my greatest gift is to show them a life of passion. Aside from supporting your own, how can mommy actually show that I actually make time for my own dreams? So I'm still working on that.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned that, and as I told you before we started, and our listeners are used to this, we just go with what's up. And I bet you every single parent out there right now is going, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because it is a balance. You're trying to create an environment that works for you and your kids, but you're also wanting to show them, I believe in myself. I believe in my own dreams, goals, and desires. And it is at times it's a balancing act. At times things drop. At times I make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
Right. But what they're seeing is you listening to that inner voice. And I want to get to that because I know, Faith, your spiritual journey has really grown over the years. And I even hear it in your songs. Like before we came on, Dave and I were talking about a couple songs we love. Like one is Colors of Praise. And I think that was was that pre-New Thought that you wrote that?
It was close to the beginning. And this is so interesting. You're pointing it out. I finished the song with some kids at the Long Beach Covenant. It was a Presbyterian church. And there was one or two languaging there that I would have shaped differently for New Thought. So you caught that. Yeah.
Well,
so no, it wasn't, it was right in the beginning, but it was on purpose that some of that languaging was there to fit the kids.
Yes. Yes, of course. Well, and I have such an honoring for the journey itself. And I'm just coming off a family trip.
Yeah.
And it was really special because I was back there and I sang in this small little Bible church and I sang with my sister, my brother-in-law, and another woman that I found out I went to Brazil on a mission trip with her brother. I mean, it was like old home week. And the music we sang is not music I would ever do in a unity church necessarily, but I so honor it there for that. And that was an important part of my journey. And so, when we talk about, the show is Authentic Spiritual Journey, a lot of people that listen are in different places. Some are in a Methodist church. Some are in a Presbyterian church. Some are not even Christian, but they have a belief that there's a God, And so I'd like to hear a little bit about your journey. And now you're in Hawaii now. Weren't you born there also?
Yep, I was.
Or were you?
Yes.
That's what I thought.
Yes, I was born in Kauai, raised in Honolulu, and my parents are both immigrants from the Philippines, which for those of you that know your Filipinos, I mean, most of them are Catholic. I mean, not to put a stereotype out there, but yeah.
Yes.
So, can we say hardcore? I mean, they just, they're devout. Devout, that's the word, not hardcore. That's hard music.
Well, like hardcore's not necessarily negative. I mean, like they go to mass, they're doing the stuff, they're praying the Hail Marys. Yes.
Well, I was hardcore. I think that's why I'm saying I was hardcore. I remember there when I was a kid because we went to mass every weekend. Not only that, they put me into a 12-year Catholic all-girls school. So, I mean, that really shaped, that beginning part of my spiritual journey.
Of course.
But yeah, Jesus was my guy. And I don't know why I do it, but on our long commutes to school, I would incessantly sometimes, say the Our Father and Hail Mary and without giving the whole story, let's just say at least where I am now through the work I've done, that I can, just like what you're saying about being able to sing at your old church, man,
Mhm.
I can see the love that was there, the nuns and the
Mhm.
sisters,
Oh, beautiful.
yeah. And I
Mhm.
always love, Neil Donald Walsh. Early in my career, I had Conversations with God really was the book series that, started to change my world, and
Mhm. It was a big one
yeah,
for so many
it
of us.
really
Yes.
was. And I remember he wrote in there that, really everyone's doing the best they can according to their worldview. And so it just feels so good to be on the other side, to find the love that was there. But I mean, I want you to know, I went through the resentment and then the blame and then the anger. I saw Reverend Bishop Spong and he riled up that anger, and it's a journey,
It's a journey. It's a
So, but
journey. Yeah.
there's love now. So, I guess from that, then in college, started dabbling because, they had us reading those existentialist books, right?
Yes. Right. Me too.
Right.
Did you go to a Christian college or a
No. Well, it was
mm,
college in Notre Dame. I guess it was still Catholic, but I ended up at Cal
Catholic?
State
Mhm.
Long Beach,
Oh, that's what I thought. I thought you were in
Yeah.
Long Beach
Yeah, I
for a
ended up in
time.
Long
Yeah.
Beach. But I just remember even in high school, right? When I rose up my hand in high school, I was saying like, wait, what about the kid in the middle of the jungle who doesn't hear the cluster of letters that spells Jesus? And they couldn't answer me. And that's where the questions go, right? The questions.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. I asked this exact same question.
There must be the little boy okay, anyway. So,
Yep.
so
Yep. And Dave is still shaking his head. Yeah,
he's
me
like,
too.
yeah.
Oh yeah, I never
You know
squared
him,
with
right?
that. I'm like, this how is this
Something's
okay?
wrong here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or there's a bigger story to be told,
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and interestingly, what I wanted to know, because for
Uh-huh.
me, and I had my friend Reverend Martha Creek on
Uh-huh.
several months ago, and
Mhm.
we were talking about how we'd actually come back to almost a love affair with Jesus in a way that neither of us imagined.
Wow.
And for me, it was actually I was at a workshop of Richard Rohr, speaking of Catholic,
Uh-huh.
and I did not get the big attraction to him because uh, I felt like everybody was so wowed by what he was saying. I'm like, Unity's been saying this for 100 years. But what was amazing was that it was a Catholic,
Yeah.
saying it. So I wanted to see for myself, and I went to a workshop and everything. And as I sat there, it was actually in a little discussion group. There was a lady there knitting. You know how there's always somebody at a little conference knitting. And they're like the smartest people in the room. They're just listening, knitting.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the images of Jesus and in various cultures. And one of them, of course, was the Catholic Jesus of Jesus on the cross, suffering.
Mm-hmm.
And it just really profoundly impacted me. She said something like, well, what I see when I see Jesus on the cross is that he suffers with me. I'm not alone.
Wow. That's a whole other
And
way to see.
wow, that was a whole other way to see it. And I said, oh, so you mean all those times where I was feeling alone, I really wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
And that now that when I see that image of the Christ,
Mm-hmm.
because I used to think, my God, get him off that cross. He rose, he rose from the dead. He's risen indeed. We
Yes.
say that, and then he goes right back up on the cross after the Easter. And because I so believe we're supposed to live this resurrected Christ energy.
Yes.
And so I would see that, but that opened up, and I thought, you know what? This is a journey. It's circular, it's spiral, but it's never going to go back to me seeing that image and going, oh, that's this or that. But it's going to be a deeper understanding and a deeper wisdom. And I just think the more grounded we get in spirit, the more we have room for everything.
Yes. Yeah. Amen. So, well, let me say this though, is that in college, when I started reading those books and, kind of like you, just really seeking out, what this bigger story, what this bigger God is. I danced for a very little bit with atheism, but wow, that got scary or something that I was like, nope, okay, that was good. I'm coming back.
That's enough for
Yeah,
me.
where I needed a bigger, a higher power or something. And that's when conversations with God, and then New Thought, specifically, Centers for Spiritual Living is what they're known now, but really the teachings of Ernest Holmes, religious
Ernest Holmes,
science,
yeah.
and then later into unity. But I feel so blessed as this spiritual seeker that the types of experiences I've been on, I don't know if you're listeners and you have heard of Patricia Cota Robles, who has gathered light workers for, I don't know, or maybe almost 30 years. And I won't tell the whole long story, but pretty much she just plucked me and said, hey, you should do this conference. No clue. Show up, hundreds of light workers. Most of them look like grandmas. They just look like quote unquote normal people, whatever that means. They weren't wearing crystals and, the whole thing, but there they were.
Right.
Yeah. She started assembling the avatars. Jesus, Kuan Yin, all these names are Archangel Michael, channeling light into the earth. And these conferences were no joke. They were not a vacation. They were deep meditations of, that energetic. So let me just tell you one thing that blew my mind is there were two ladies there that, I guess, really connected with my music and my performance, wanted to take me to lunch during the conference. So we go out, and as we're talking, I come to find out they're Catholic. And in my mind, I'm like, because, I had put the World Congress as, New Age people. I'd put a box.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, there's these. I said, how? I was just like, how do you do with all the, Kuan Yin and the Buddha and the purple flame and Jesus Christ? And it's what you said when they were just so grounded, I think, in that love, in who they knew who they were, and allowing God to be whatever God is, that they could hang with all of it. So that was a deeply profound experience for me to get rid of my boxes. I didn't know I had boxes still.
Right. And that's what's so interesting, about the journey. And I could see where this last trip had me see something I'm still processing, which was in New Thought. This happens in every denomination. And, I didn't tell anybody I was a minister. No, frankly, nobody asked. So, which was, I would have been very happy to share that.
How would they know?
I would have been very happy to share that, but nobody asked. But what was interesting is seeing the different ways in which, when we think we're right, how that suddenly limits the journey in a way. Not that there's nothing to hold on to, but this being so convinced there's only one way, it really does leave out a lot of people. And so I was looking at how in my thoughts, am I doing that and missing some blessing that God wants to give me, missing some intuitive knowing, missing some experience of the divine that I need, even missing something in my own behavior that maybe I felt, oh, I'm not going to do that. And frankly, it was egoic and I didn't know it, So it was an interesting experience to be like going back into that and being in one way very, very comfortable, honoring, supportive, and great. And then also seeing before the end, wow, there are some real limits to this way of thinking, and I honor them where they are, and I'm not better than them. And even though there was a little bit of that coming at me, I said, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay. I'm going to love them in that. And I could see how, in New Thought, we want to do that sometimes, like, oh, we used to be there, but we're not there anymore.
Yes. Yes.
So it's just all a great reflection. And I feel like we're all trying to rise up into this new consciousness.
Yes. Well, I remember when I was so excited when I found New Thought, in that enthusiasm, same thing. I could have just been like a Bible salesman because I was just shooting people, just and trying to enlighten them. And we all know, it's all frequency and vibration. I mean, I don't think half the time, sometimes we even hear each other, not to say, like you said, we're higher or they're lower. And so how nice it is, right, to come back and be like, well, this is their life and they really love God in this way. And I mean, to lose that judgment, like all that weight, it's like, oh, hallelujah. Like we don't need to micromanage everybody else's spiritual journey.
Yeah, imagine, right? I don't have to micro. I'm having a tough time with my own,
I know. And so I wonder if I should delve here. One more profound experience. when I was enthusiastic, I was just reaching out to events that I just felt a fit for. And I think this was called the 2012 Quantum, I don't know, some kind of like New World Awakening. And I saw Terry Cole Whitaker was going to be there. So
yes.
I volunteered to go. I was in Santa Fe, and I go, and long story short, when I'm there, they have us, and they also have like the UFO publishers. And so, I mean, like the whole gamut, and talk about expanding, what I thought I didn't know I had judgments about what that meant, but to meet the UFO publishers and say, hey, Faith, we are just editors and it fell in our lap. We're just trying to tell the story, But what happened after the first night, they were interviewing a woman who could supposedly, when she takes a picture with a light source, like whether it be a street light or the sun, she could capture some of the pictures of spacecraft or something. So, it's a really longer story, but I'll just make it quick. Somehow I ended up being in the room when they were interviewing her. I was in this X-Files room with blown up pictures of beautiful spacecraft that look like, the only way I can describe it is translucent like a jellyfish, but I could see the rainbow hues on them. It was beautiful.
Wow.
Okay. So as they were interviewing her, she had a spiritual advisor on the side, seeing who of us could go with her to show us, her connection with them. I don't know why it became called the alien run. So anyway, I'm just sitting there going, ooh, and I'm looking the guy next to me. I said, hey, if this is all we get to do, I said, this has been the coolest thing. And I said,
yeah, like this is so cool.
Yeah, this is enough. And I said, I don't think I'm ready. You know what I mean? For proof or anything. And so right then, the spiritual advisor lady calls me and says, Faith, I'm sorry, you're the only one not coming with us. Okay. And so that night, even though I didn't even have the experience, it was enough for me. One, I was kind of freaked out, so I slept with the lights on, but I really cried. I know, but I cried that night because I told myself that I will never limit God or spirit or this experience.
Yes.
Like I will go down the rabbit hole, like freaking out. I will. But that's where I knew we really have our spirit guides, and that we can trust the universe. It heard me. I literally said, I don't think I'm ready. But
right.
Yeah.
But it shows how interactive the universe is. And we often talk about God as principle, but I love talking about how interested the universe is in us, that we are intimately connected with all that is. And, the universe feels everything. And I think that's a beautiful story. And it feels like I want to do a song right now, because I can't believe we've already talked 20 minutes and we don't have a song yet. So I do want to drop one in, Faith. And which one would you recommend for this part of the show?
Yeah, I would love to do Rise. It was initially
That's
written,
what I was feeling.
Yeah, too. It was initially written for the Association for Global New Thought, but it's right where we are right now. The personal rising and the collective rising and the impact.
That's what we're
what we can
about,
do, right? Together.
Yeah.
So,
all right. Thank you.
I close my eyes. I open my heart. I'll take a deep breath. Let the healing start. I lift my hands. I plant my feet. I let love in. I feel the beat that's calling us to rise. Rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. I let in my soul. I clear my mind. I'm here and now, in present time. I feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Oh, rise, rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Oh, rise. Rise. Spirit, rise up. You sing to me. Change up this noise. Make sweet harmony. Come on and rise. Oh, rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Oh, rise. Rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Rise in me. Heart to heart. Hand in hand. No turning back. Onward to promised land. Do you feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark? Oh, we rise as one. Love's calling, calling out your name. Love's calling. That's why we came. Love's calling, calling out the name. Love's calling. It's why we came. Come on and rise. Rise. Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Rise. Come on and rise. Oh, Spirit, rise up. Rise in me. Rise up. Rise up. Rise up. Rise up. Come on and rise up. Come on, lift your hands up, jump. Reach for the sky, going up high, higher, yeah. Rise up. Come on, raise your voice and shout. Love is alive, we're bringing the light brighter, brighter. Rise up. Come on, lift your hands up, jump. Reach for the sky, going up high, higher, yeah. Rise up. Come on, raise your voice and shout. Love is alive, we're bringing the light brighter, brighter. Rise up. Come on and rise up.
Wow, Faith, thank you so much. That is an incredible tune. And I think you said it just right. This is exactly what we're doing. We are called to rise. And I really feel right now, at this time, we're called to be in our light. We're called to really be the change makers, the light bringers, however you want to say it. But where we are to be living from our highest consciousness. And in the same way we've been talking about that it is a journey, this consciousness of discovery and just trusting our soul to know that whatever next step we need is going to be shown to us and it's going to be provided for us.
I 100% agree. And I think for me, at least in my journey, I'm finding it's really about the practice now because, you know, I listen a lot to, I really follow Abraham Hicks, a lot of those teachings.
Sure.
And I do believe that the universe is unfolding, but it is unfolding according to where our vibe is at and where our consciousness is at. It's not to say something bad is unfolding, but I think for me, when I want to tune into, what is the best that's happening here, or not even that, look at all that's going on in the world right now with Maui and the war. I mean, I don't even need to tell everybody. We all know
everything.
The season of politics is upon us. I know my husband has his ear pod on, listen. So for me, and you can tell me about you, man, I'm like, I need to dig in and continue with my spiritual practice because without that, I mean, you and I could have these thoughts. We can have these and listen to a podcast and have it float by. We can agree, but I think it's about the embodiment right now. You mentioned it, about the Christ nature, Christ light. How do we live from it now? Not just know it. I mean, you don't think we know it on a mental.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yes. I don't know if you've ever seen this show. It's really interesting. I was guided to watch it, but it's a show called The Chosen, and it is basically the Jesus story, and it's pretty unadulterated. In other words, the scriptures are pretty good culturally. I mean, you know, some of the things they say or whatever are not, but I've been really struck at how simple the truth is. Like, once again, and Jesus kept saying, you know, so I'm showing you now, but you're going to go out and do this.
Wow.
You know, so the original message of the master himself was, I know you're watching me and you think you can't do it, but this is what you're, you know, going to do and be. And I just really feel that's most definitely our call. And of course, easier said than done, right? But in that time, there was political unrest. There were rich and poor. There were all the same thing. You know, nothing is new under the sun. We just we go through it quicker because of the technology, but it's all the same issues, you know?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really believe like that, you know, when people started talking about like, the second coming of Christ. And I don't remember now which teacher, I mean, it's all in new thought, but just the idea that really it's not some man or person or thing coming down. It's about the expression of who we've always been, you know, shining to its fullest capacity. I mean, that's the second coming. And it's exciting. It's weird. I mean, I'm listening to myself. I know it must sound weird. What does that mean, the second? But you know what I mean, right? Like it's...
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know, Paramahansa Yogananda wrote their volumes, these large volumes that were released after his death. And I studied Yogananda for many years. Wow. And you know, those large volumes are called The Second Coming of the Christ in You.
Oh, well, okay.
That's again, that's what the masters are all leading us to. And I think, you know, often in fundamental Christianity, they think when we talk about these things, we're anti-Jesus. It's like, no, it's about the embodiment of what Jesus was. And I think until we rise up into that, we're going to see these things continuing over and over and over, because the problems we have are problems of the mind and the ego. They're rooted in a limited thinking, and spirit is unlimited, you know. So this is how, you know, water can turn to wine. This is how fish and bread can multiply, that they're spoken to with an unlimited idea, an unlimited source. And this is what I think, you know, we're called to. And I don't know why this is making me think of one of the things other things you're doing, Faith. I'm jumping around, but one of the things I love that you're doing, because I sent a dear friend to you who ended up already listening to your music, but you actually write songs. I want you to talk a little bit about that for our listeners, because I really want to be able to promote some of the stuff you're doing in terms of writing songs for different companies and helping align. So talk a little bit about that, what you're doing with that.
Yeah, you know, I've called it different things over the years, you know, writing your heart song, whether it's an individual or a signature song for a company.
For a company,
Yeah. And I mean, your listeners must know, you're a musician. You know, there's just this power in the music, in the rhythm that transcends. Sometimes, I mean, I'll say sometimes even the lyrics, when you have a feeling, you know, from it. And so if there's a way that we can, that I can help support someone or a company to further, you know, know who they are by, you know, making this declaration through the music. And then, especially if you're a company, then to share it in the feeling tone. And, you know, that's something new that I have learned. I don't want to say it's outside of New Thought, but, you know, it's been emphasized more in some other teachings I've been looking at, that all we have really is how we're feeling and experiencing this right now. So, you know what I'm saying? So, it's been such a journey to be able to use the mode of music. And not only that, I love commercial music too. Not to say that, we can't do, more classical or, why did I think hillbilly country things that, so
That's like what I just did. Yeah, I'm going to send you that. You'll laugh.
Really?
You'll laugh.
Okay.
Oh, it was fun though. Super fun.
Okay. But I love that I can use some of the local writers or producers here as well, really to create, a signature sound for your brand. Or for your heart song, which I've done for some women who, they just play it for themselves every day, which if that's all that's powerful to empower one person.
Super powerful. Yeah. Yes. I love that. Well, you have and always have had a strong earth connection and a strong intuitive sense. And, I think about, Hawaii in general, and it's so related to earth. It's an indigenous culture. It's related to water. It's related to the elements.
Yes.
It's related to wind rhythms of the earth. And so you that's in you culturally. It's in your soul, and you've nurtured that, throughout your journey. So I want to lift you up for that and honor you, because I think that work you're doing is way more empowering and important than you may know, because sometimes we need that one song that we can return to. A company needs that one song that's going to remind them this is who we are and why we're here. And, I often feel that music is the most important part of any service that I do. It's not the message. People will go out singing a song and they may only remember a word or two I say, but the music is going to connect them, with the heart and soul. So it's important work that you're doing. It's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on. I wanted to lift you up. And,
thanks.
And I also want to mention lastly that I have a dear friend who I've known for many years who is doing a special retreat with you. And I love that you're doing personal retreats like this is for a family.
Yes.
And I think that is amazing. And that could be just what a family might need, to feel supported, to be loved, to be lifted. Yes. And anyway, I just honor you for that. And I think that is great work that you're doing. And wanted to make sure our listeners knew about it and knew about some of the new music. So I'm glad you brought Rise to us. And Faith, I know we're going to have it in the show notes, but also is your website is faithrivera.com, or is it Faith Rivera Music?
It's faithrivera.com. You got it. Yeah. Okay. But all my socials are Faith Rivera Music. Yeah. Except for
YouTube. That's what I thought. Yeah, that's where I got that. Yeah. YouTube, Faith Rivera Music. So we'll have some links in the show notes for that. And then we'll leave you with one last song from Faith Rivera. So Faith, thank you so much for being with us. As always, I am honored. It is a pleasure. And, blessings to you, dear friend. If we can support you in any way, please let us know. And dear friends, thank you always for listening and for your support. We're sending our love to you for your spiritual journey. We're seeing you loved, supported, and blessed, remembering it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. So we believe this, we know this, and we lift this up for you. So we thank you for your love, for your support, and we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And blessings on the journey, dear friend.
Hey! Come on! Appreciate this moment here and now. Celebrate, appreciate. Come on and sing it loud. Celebrate, appreciate what is and what can be. Celebrate, appreciate. Let yourself be free. Come on, shine your light. Shine it brighter. Celebrate, appreciate. Hey, get up right now. Appreciate all the party people in the house. Celebrate, appreciate, spreading good vibes all around. Celebrate, appreciate, satisfaction is the key. Celebrate, appreciate, set your spirit free. Come on, shine your light, shine it brighter. Celebrate, appreciate, hey, get up right now and shine it bolder. Celebrate, appreciate, give it all we got, all together now. Shine your light for the world to see. Shine on, baby, shine on. Celebrate, appreciate. Shine on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. Shine on and on and on and on. My heart's on fire for love. My heart's on fire for peace. My heart's on fire for everyone. Reach out, move like this. My heart's on fire for joy. My heart's on fire for riches. My heart's on fire for everything. Brought up so bright with spirit. My heart's on fire for love. My heart's on fire for peace. My heart's on fire for everyone. Reach out and move like this. My heart's on fire for joy. My heart's on fire for riches. My heart's on fire for everything. Brought up so bright with spirit. Come on, shine your light, shine it brighter. Come on, celebrate, appreciate. Hey, get up right now and shine it bolder. Celebrate, appreciate. Give it all we got, all together now. Come on and shine your light for the world to see. Shine your light for the world to see. Shine our light for the world to see. Shine on.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of The Authentic Spiritual Journey here on the Experience of the Soul podcast channel. This channel is made possible because of listeners just like you. If you would like to support the channel with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Authentic Spiritual Journey is copyright 2023, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved. Our theme music is composed by Dave Croft and used with permission from RR Hot Publishing. The Experience of the Soul podcast channel is a production of 818 Studios.
Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The SoulWorks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. SoulWorks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the SoulWorks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.